This is Idomaji, a community 47 kilometers from the Nigerian capital Abuja. The people here are predominantly farmers, but residents here are living without electricity.
We've never had electricity here. Only those who can afford a generator get electricity. But now that fuel is expensive, they can't afford it. When our women want to make flour from maize or guinea corn for our daily meals, they have to walk more than 30 minutes to neighbouring communities to do so, because we don't have the power for the grinding machines. That's where we also charge our phones, which barely lasts a day. It's quite frustrating.
The people here are among at least 40% of the country's population of more than 200 million people without access to electricity. They say previous attempts by the government to install power in the remote community failed, as there was no proper supervision and the contractors abandoned the project.
The power poles just behind me were installed in 2016 as part of efforts to provide electricity for this community. But residents here say that is yet to happen.
In urban areas where people have access to electricity, the supply is often irregular, forcing businesses and households to depend on diesel and petrol power generators. The country has for years been distributing an average of 4,000 megawatts per day for the whole country, which is far less than the required 200,000 megawatts. Energy experts say inconsistency and poor implementation of power policies are responsible for Nigeria's inability to provide the needed power supply.
Today we design a policy in this country about the power sector. No sooner than the designer of that policy leaves office, that policy leaves with that person. And then we start all over again, only to go back to the same policy that the last person had concluded and had started implementing. 3 different administrations, one goal, 6,000 megawatts. When are we going to get 6,000? If we're doing, since 2008 till date, if we're doing 500 megawatts per year, we would have done 16,000 megawatts. No, we would have done about 8,000 megawatts. If we are doing 1,000 megawatts per year, we would have done 16,000 megawatts.
In 2023, Nigeria's government signed an electricity law that will, among other things, allow states to generate their own power. Analysts say the government must fully implement the legislation and also promote more investment into the sector.
Well, I think for now, part of what we need to do, first of all, is to look at the policy. And the policy has been comprehensively reviewed by way of the new Electricity Act, which now allows states and individuals to come into the power sector, to be players in the power sector. Government has to make the market to be more attractive. And what does that mean? The tariff chargeable by investors must be one that can also sustain the business. If the tariff cannot sustain the business, then there is no need for, investors will not come in.
Nigeria's government says it has drawn up a $20 billion investment plan to establish new power plants and transmission lines to increase electricity generation to 20,000 megawatts by 2025. It, however, says key players in the power sector need to collaborate to achieve this target that could see communities like Idomaji have access to electricity. Ajek Mangut, SABC News, Abuja.